Y'all want to know how Diddy can win this case? He need to let them 2 lawyers from the A take over. Now, mind you, I want Diddy to go to jail. I want him under the jail. But down in Atlanta, Brian Steele and Nicole Westmoreland, who worked on Young Thug's RICO case, he need to let them folks take the lead. Yeah, you need to let them 2 be your quarterback and your wide receiver, all right? Those 2 need to be leading everything right now. They said Nicole Westmoreland is like 5'1", but she a straight pit bull. Yeah. They said when Nicole Westmoreland was cross-examining Don from Danity Kane because Don testified that Diddy tried to hit Cassie with a frying pan. They said Nicole pretty much told her, every time you tell this frying pan story, it changes. First he hit her with the pan, then he didn't hit her with a pan, then he threw the eggs at her, then he just swung it at her. What is the right story, Don? Do you just forget every time you tell this story? They said the people in the courtroom was like, dang, yo, she going at Don. I'm sitting home like, golly. They said she told Don, you broke, you're a has-been, you don't have a career, you wouldn't have nothing if it wasn't for Diddy. That's why you're testifying right now, because you want some shine. You want to win your lawsuit. You don't care about justice, because if you cared about justice, why was you calling Diddy to work with him? Why do you want to work with a monster? I was like, golly, like Nicole Westmoreland ain't playing with Don. Now, Brian Steele, he got to talk to Kid Cudi. He pretty much told Kid Cudi, listen, you ain't see Diddy blow up your car. Your security cameras didn't catch anything. And it's no way that Diddy broke into your house because didn't you leave the door unlocked accidentally? Cudi was like, I guess you're right. He also said, you thought that Cassie was done with Sean. He said, yes. He was like, how does it feel to know that she was playing both of you guys at the same time? Playing you like a violin. And I was like, dang, Brian. Like, you turning Cassie into like she's a player out here. Now, don't do my girl Cassie like that, Brian. Now, I ain't gonna flex. Diddy got like 10 lawyers, no cap. He got like 10. But they're a Swiss Army knife of a team, right? The folks he got down out of Atlanta, you know, Nicole and Brian Steele, they pit bulls, so they coming in hard. Now, Mark Agnafilio, he's the lead attorney. I've been calling this man slow since last September when he decided to represent Sean Combs because he just does and says the most stupid things I've ever heard, okay? But I have now found out that's just his gimmick. That's what he does to play with people and manipulate them. He act like he's slow, but he ain't slow. He uses his aloofness in a way to help disarm people when they're on the stand. He gets the people all kind of calm and cozy and they start telling them everything. Now them folks down from the A, they coming in a little harder than Mark Agnafilio. Diddy also has on his team Alexandra Shapiro, and she's just sitting back like watching everything, taking notes. She's just waiting on the feds to make one mistake because she specializes in appeals. So she knows if Diddy goes to jail, she's been watching this whole trial, taking notes, trying to find an angle to get him out on appeal. Now, Diddy Garagos, she's smart. I've been reading like a lot of the transcripts of her cross-examinations, and like she's like a real lawyer. Sometimes people call her a Nepo baby because her dad is Mark Garagos. Mark Garagos has represented like Michael Jackson, Chris Brown, like a lot of celebrities. So sometimes people will be playing on her name, like you only a lawyer because of your daddy. She's actually smart, yo. And of course, if her father is a lawyer, she's gonna pull from him. She's gonna learn the game from him. But yo, I kind of like Teeny Garagos. Now, Anna Estavio, she handled the cross-examination of Cassie, and yo, I thought it was perfect. She didn't go too hard at Cassie, but she was able to get Cassie to admit to certain things. And some of these things that Cassie was admitting to, the common everyday person is starting to look at Cassie like, maybe she did kind of like this stuff. And he got about 4 or 5 other people on his team too, but I ain't even gonna flex. I have been impressed with how they're running this trial. He literally has $1 million dream team, and they're working. They're trying. They're working for him. This case has been like a heavyweight boxing match, and both sides is gonna fight this thing to the end. Like, they not playing. One day the defense has threw a jab, and then the next day the prosecution throw an uppercut. Then the next day the defense come back, hit him with the elbow. Like, they really in there slanging for Diddy. Like, they really in there fighting for this case, both sides. Now, what I will say, if the jury is not compromised, and if they're following the law of the land, Diddy is going to jail. Yeah, he's gone. If anybody on that jury has been paid off, we might get him his trial. But just based off of the law, he done. He done on the RICO. He done on the transportation. Let's say he went on the trafficking and he don't get convicted on those. Those other 2, those are problems. But let me tell y'all how I think the defense is going to defend Diddy. And y'all, it's going to get nasty. It's going to get dirty, okay? And to the average person, it may work. So one of the main things Cassie testified was like, she could never prosper in her career. He only wanted her to do the freak offs. He'd only let her do little things here and there, but she could never fully blossom as an artist or a model how she wanted to because Diddy would keep her close, wouldn't let her go out and like do stuff. Somebody on his team right now is pulling all of Cassie's analytics. They're gonna pull all the money that Diddy has invested into her career, and they're gonna come out and say, look, she was just a trash artist. There was nothing that Diddy could do to make her star. And don't don't forget she's a drug addict too. They gonna come at her. It's gonna get nasty. Then they may call on other employees that's work with Diddy, maybe even his family members, maybe some friends she's pissed off. And they gonna testify about how Cassie didn't want to work. She was doped up out of her mind. She cheated on him constantly. They are gonna rip her character apart, okay? They're gonna go in. Then they're gonna show all the money that he invested into her as a girlfriend. They're gonna show the apartments and the houses he paid for, the cars, the Gucci bags, the Chanel. He's gonna have all his financial records together, okay? I'm sure they're gonna come through with the receipt. Then they're gonna put some more escorts on the stand to testify on his behalf to say, listen, I never saw anything violent. She kept calling me to set the freak offs up. I thought she was down. I didn't know we were doing anything wrong. And some of the escorts are even gonna get up there and testify and say, look, I ain't no prostitute. You can't charge him with transportation of prostitution because I'm not a prostitute. I'm an escort. I just came to hang out. I just came to go to the Diddy parties. I just came to kind of get my groove on. I didn't get paid to come and do with them. Now, I did do, but that's not what I was paid for. I just came to hang out and one thing led to another. That's how they gonna spin it. And then, if I'm advising them, they need to get into Diddy's childhood. They need to find out what happened in Diddy's childhood that made him this jealous, sexual, deviant who was violent. We gotta figure out what happened to this child. And the thing with Diddy is, man, it's nothing wrong with doing the freak offs, okay? It's nothing wrong with what he doing. There's people who actually like to do the things that Diddy likes to do. But guess what? He don't want to do it with them people. There are literally men and women out there who like bondage, who like to get roped up, people who like to do all these crazy, violent, weird things in the bedroom, but they do have safe words. You know what I'm saying? So when it go too far, they can stop it. But he don't want to rock out with them. He don't want to do the freak offs with the people who want to do the freak offs. He want to turn people out. He wants to be in control. That's why he wants people like Cassie to do it, because she really don't want to do it, but he gets off on having control. He likes to just see her dominated because he said so. That's also why he don't like to invite gay men there. You can easily, bring a gay man in there and he can do what he do and then y'all can do what y'all do, but he don't want that. He want a straight man there because the straight man really don't want to be there, because the straight men are testifying that I feel uncomfortable with him in the room. Everything with Diddy is about power, control, and manipulation, okay? Because if he really wanted to have somebody who's into bondage and BDSM and all that freaky deaky stuff, he could do it, but he don't want that. He want to turn people out. He want people to do it who don't really want to do it. That's what gets him off. So they have to tell us what happened in his childhood to help the jury somewhat sympathize with this type of monster that he's turned into. Also to help the judge, because if he's convicted, the judge has to kind of understand, like, do I need to max him out and give him total 1,000 years? Or is this just an innocent, damaged child who's grown into an adult and maybe some therapy or something can kind of help him out? You got to help us help you, Diddy, okay? We need to know what happened in your childhood. Diddy was so scared of Suge Knight that he literally became a variant of Suge Knight, but just 10 times worse. And I would understand Diddy more if he just came out and said, listen, during the whole East Coast, West Coast beef, I was scared for my life. I was scared of Suge Knight. Therefore, I had to create this larger than life persona. I had to turn myself into this tough guy so nobody would try me, so nobody would know, don't play with me. But it all was done out of fear. It wasn't done out of, I really wanted to harm people. I just eventually ended up getting on drugs, and then, things started going left, and I caused a lot of people trauma and grief, but that was not my intentions. I can understand that if he says that. You know what I'm saying? Help me sympathize with you a little bit, Diddy. His people are going to defend him by calling him a drug addict. They're going to say he has mental health issues. They're going to say he's bipolar. He didn't realize he was doing anything wrong. He was just a jealous boyfriend. And finally, the smartest thing that his team ever did was plant into people's minds that this is just domestic violence. They're going to keep saying it over and over and over again. When it's their turn to put on their case, they're going to say, this is just domestic violence. He's a monster. He's jealous. He's a crazy boyfriend, but this is just domestic violence. Because when you keep saying it, the jurors start sitting back like, hey, this might be just domestic violence. But side note, what a lot of people are missing out is a part of force is violence. For example, when you think about the mob or the mafia, they'll have their little guys out like running around, beating people up, violating people. The feds didn't tell the mob, well, you know what? That's just assault. That's not really a RICO. That's really not something that's too bad. No, they hit them boys with the RICO. They said y'all was running a racket. So when people try to say, oh, that's just domestic violence, that's not really a RICO, a part of force in the racketeering and sex trafficking of it all, a part of force is violence, okay? Domestic violence can equal force. But Diddy's team is just going to keep saying, hey, this is DV, because that's going to end up causing confusion when the jury starts to take this for deliberation. Some people sitting down there are going to think, hey, this is just domestic violence. Some people are going to think, no, this is RICO, this is trafficking. Those people are going to clash. And when people start to clash and they can't come to an agreement, that is how you get a mistrial. So Diddy's team's job is to plant enough dissent sent into some of those jurors' mind to say not guilty to cause confusion, because in order to get convicted, everybody has to agree that he's guilty. If there's one person or two people in that jury who says this is just DV, this is going to go into a mistrial. And if this goes into a mistrial or the jury is hung, either the feds are going to be like, hey man, you go ahead and go. Or the way the feds are set up, they might say, shoot, we finna run it back. We finna retry him again. Keep him in jail. Yo, that would be crazy. Can you imagine them having to bring back Cassie and Kid Cudi to testify all over again? Yo. But yo, to wrap this up, he need to let them folks from the A take lead on this case. Do y'all think Diddy has a chance of winning? Leave your comments below. Thanks for hanging out with me. Peace.